So good afternoon, especially to Mom Solidan and of course my fellow classmates. So I'm Rizalyn Hagonas and my members are Dee Inyon and Lovelyn Bermoy.
So, our topic for today is all about intellectual revolutions in society, which are Copernican, Darwinian, and Freudian intellectual revolutions.
Defining science. Science as an idea. It includes ideas, theories, and all systematic explanations and observations about the natural and physical world. So science as an idea consists of theories, principles, and systematic explanation that help us understand the natural and physical world. So science as an intellectual activity, it encompasses a systematic and practical study of the natural and physical world. This process involves systematic observation and experimentation. This is about the involves a structured approach to studying the world through observation, experimentation, and analysis. Science as a body of knowledge, it is a subject, discipline, or field of study that deals with the process of learning about the natural and physical world, which is field of study that compiles facts, theories, and discoveries to explain natural phenomena. And lastly, science as a personal and social activity. It is a means to survive in and improve life. It is interwoven with people's lives. So science impacts daily life, helping society progress by solving problems and improving living conditions. Scientific revolutions. Scientific revolution was a time of great change in science and math that transformed how people understood the nature. It began in Europe with Nicholas Copernicus' book on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres, which proposed that the earth orbits the sun. Many new discoveries followed, leading to modern science. The period ended with Isaac Newton, who explained gravity and the laws of motion. That is how the scientific revolutions. The first one who discovered the scientific revolution, it was Nicholas Copernicus, and then lastly, who ended the scientific revolution, it was Isaac Newton.
And paradigm shift. A scientific paradigm is a framework containing all the commonly accepted views about the subject, conventions about what direction the research should take and how it should be performed. So, the paradigm ay nangangahulugang isang sistema ng pag-iisip or subconscious mind na nagtutulak sa iyo na gawin. Then, ito ay nagsimula sa Grieko word na paradigma. At ito rin ay isang malaking landas o modelo na nagpapalaga sa pag-unawa sa mundo. It refers to a major change in the worldwide concepts and practices of how something works or is accomplished. A paradigm shift can happen within a wide variety of contexts from scientific research to industry.
Greek cosmology. Greek cosmology played a pivotal role in the development of Eastern intellectual thought, laying the foundation for later scientific inquiry by introducing concepts like the Earth as a spheres and the existence of a celestial spheres, and the idea of the universe governed by mathematical laws, significantly influencing the way societies understood their place in the cosmos for centuries, particularly through the works of philosophers like Aristotle and Plato. Greek cosmology is a study of the universe and its origin by the ancient Greek thinkers. It played a big role in intellectual revolutions by shifting ideas from mythological to logical explanations of nature. Early Greeks like Thales and Anaximander believed the world was made of basic elements like water or an undefined substance. Later on, philosophers like Pythagoras and Plato introduced the mathematical and idealistic views of the cosmos. So the Greek cosmology was state that that the Greek thinkers tried to explain the universe logically instead of using myths or belief like or maybe haka haka. Um, Early philosophers like Thales and Anaximander thought everything was made of basic elements, while later on thinkers like Pythagoras and Plato was they used the basic base of the mathematics. So they began with the invention of the idea of a scientific theory by the pre-Socratic philosophers. So the early Greek thinkers tried to explain using the logics instead of myths, like starting the idea of science, like they are still stating the facts, not the myths. They attempted to find underlying and unchanging principles responsible for the constantly changing phenomena of the everyday natural world. They believe that even though the nature are changing, but some basic rules are stay the same. Like everything's gonna change, but not all are changing. They will stay the same. Like Thales' idea that everything comes from water. They There's are no changing. The Greeks developed a cosmological theory with the Earth at the center and the planets, Sun and Moon, embedded in spheres rotating and the Earth. This this Greek developed a cosmological theory. This means it was called the geocentric model, where planets and stars were thought to move in perfect circles around the Earth. Copernican Revolution. Copernican Revolution was took place in 16th century by Nicholas Copernicus, and he was a Polish mathematician and astronomer, challenged the Ptolemaic model, and he introduced the heliocentric model in a 40-page outline entitled Commentarius. Commentarius means the little commentary, refers to the short astronomical written of Nicholas Copernicus. In between 1508 and 1514, the Commentarius outlined Copernicus' theory, which placed the sun is at the center of the universe. So this picture shows the two models, which is Ptolemaic and Copernican. Ptolemaic is also known as the geocentric model, is a theory that the Earth is at the center of the universe. The model was developed by Claudius Ptolemy, an astronomer and mathematician who lived in Alexandria, Egypt in the 2nd century AD. And the Copernican is also known as the heliocentric model of the solar system, which places the sun is at the center of the universe. It was developed by Nicholas Copernicus and published in 1543. So the differences between the Ptolemaic and the Copernican. So have you heard is the Ptolemaic is also known as the geocentric model, or refers to the Earth is at the center of the universe, and the Copernican, or also known as the heliocentric model, refers to the sun is at the center of the universe. Nicholas Copernicus, he formalized his model in the publication of his treatise De Revolutionibus Orbium Celestium, or the Revolution of Celestial Spheres, in 1543. It is the seminal work on the heliocentric theory of the astronomer Nicholas Copernicus in 1473 to 1543 of the Polish Renaissance. So the heliocentrism, which suggested that the center of the solar system was not at the Earth but actually the Sun, he contradicted the geocentric model introduced by Ptolemy, where the Earth is at the center of the solar system, and it is accepted by the people in a period called the birth of modern astronomy.
Darwinian revolution is one of the most controversial intellectual revolutions. In 1859, Charles Darwin, an English naturalist, biologist, and geologist, published his book on the origin of species. In this book, he introduced the theory of evolution that population passed through a process of natural selection in which only the fittest would survive. Charles Darwin, where he introduced the idea of the natural selection, where he explained that species evolve over time as those with helpful traits survive and pass them on. This challenged traditional beliefs about creation and led to modern evolutionary science, where the natural selection is where can survive. So the first example of Darwin is about the population of mice has moved into a new area where the rocks are very dark due to natural genetic variation. Some mice are black while others are tan. So the owl is hungry. So as you all know, the mice are different color. The mice are black and tan. So alam naman natin pag gutom ang owl, of course, pag makita agad ng mata nila, of course, kukunin. So that's why we should find some solution to survive, to evolve something so we could survive. So this is how the process of natural selection. So variation means there is a genetic variation within a population which can be inherited. The competition, it is the overproduction of offspring, leads to competition for survival. Adaptations. Individuals with beneficial adaptations are more likely to survive to pass on their genes. And the lastly is the selection. Over many generations, there is a change in allele frequency or evolutions. So this is our the evolutions or the natural selections of Darwin. This is an example of the natural selection. So consider yourself a two giraffe, the short neck and the long neck. This shows that the short neck can survive because they are eating something that he can eat, and he will get hungry more. So he or she can die because of this selection.
So I will be talking about the intellectual revolution that defined society, which is the Freudian revolution. Before we go further with that topic, Let's get to know Sigmund Freud first. So, who is Sigmund Freud? Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist, founder of psychoanalysis. He is also credited for steering a 20th century intellectual revolution named after him, the Freudian Revolution. Sigmund Freud believed that insanity is caused by a psychological condition, not by physical factors. But no one believed him. More people thought that if someone was not in their right mind, they were suffering from mental illness, whereas those who are not insane were physically well. All of this changed when he invented the psychoanalytic theory of personality, or what we call the psychoanalysis. So, let's talk about psychoanalysis. Ano nga ba ang psychoanalysis? Psychoanalysis is a scientific method of understanding inner and unconscious conflicts embedded within one's personality. And it is a method of treating mental illness and emotional distress. It involves working with a trained therapist known as analyst to explore and understand unconscious thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that may be causing problems in the patient's life. The goal of psychoanalysis is to bring these unconscious thoughts and feelings into conscious awareness, allowing the patient to gain insight and develop new coping mechanism. So, ang psychoanalysis is the most important sa bahagi ng Freudian Revolution. This is because nag-develop si Sigmund Freud ng isang psychoanalysis na isang paraan upang maunawaan ang mga konflikto na nasa loob at hindi nakikita ng isang tao. Sigmund Freud popularized and argued that personality is a product of three conflicting elements: the id, ego, and superego. I know that we are all familiar about the iceberg. So here we have the Freudian iceberg model. Yung nasa taas, which is the conscious or what we call the ego. Then yung nasa gitna, which is the preconscious superego. Yung nasa ilalim, which is the unconscious, the id. Id is the pleasure principle. It is the idealistic part of our personality that seeks immediate gratification of our basic desires and urges. So, for example, if you're hungry, your id might drive you to eat something without considering the consequences. So here, you just need to satisfy yourself. You didn't even think what are the consequences of your actions. So the ego, it is the rational, idealistic part of our personality that mediates between the id and the outside world. It helps us balance our desires with reality and consider the potential consequences of our actions. So, for example, if you're hungry, your ego might encourage you to eat something healthy and satisfying rather than just grabbing whatever is closest. So here, like gaduwa-duwa ka, nag-iisip ka kung ano ba ang imo nga himuon, like kung kunin mo. The super ego is the moral principle, idealistic part of our personality that internalize societal norms and values. It serves as a conscience, guiding us towards ethical and pro-social behavior. For example, if you're considering stealing something to satisfy your hunger, your superego might encourage you not to, reminding you that stealing is wrong. So, gagawin mo talaga yung tama. So, kung ano yung tama, yun yung masusunod. These three components of the personality work together to shape our behavior and decision-making processes. Sigmund Freud changed the way we think about and treat mental illnesses. He was the one who came up with the psychoanalytic theory of personality. Beyond that, he completely altered our perceptions of mankind, thought, and society.
Before we end our discussion, we had prepared quiz 10 items. So put it on in 1/4 sheet of paper and write the letter of the correct answer.
That's all. Thank you and God bless.